The prophet Isaiah reminds us that all of us are a light for the nations. I don't know if you ever notice your own behavior, if it's somebody in your family, if you're around a smaller child, especially between the ages of 4 and 8 months. It's a very formative time because they're starting to have an awareness of themselves and other people. And they have a lot of, in their brain, what's called mirroring neurons. And so they're trying to pick up like how to function, how to operate. And they can only do that by engaging with others who show them things, especially like maybe how to start using these muscles that are in your face, like especially smiles. And that's why you don't put a child on the shoulder and then go, "Oh, you're such a good little girl." You know, we have to look at them in the face, or you put them on your lap, and you do those kind of those higher pitch voices as well, because that's how a child starts picking up language and facial expressions. And but I think it's even something more, because even if we would do this, like, "Oh, you've been a bad little boy," and then you still smile, right? Yeah, we default to that. And that's because there's something inherent that we know about ourselves and what we know about every human person. Maybe it's just easier to see it at the beginning of life, in which not only are they being taught who they are, they're being taught especially that in that relationship, they are loved. And this is really important for us because this becomes a challenge throughout our life, is how do we continue to know that we are loved? But really the question we're always asking ourselves is not that. The question we're asking ourselves is, what am I supposed to do? In the big picture, what am I supposed to do with my life? Maybe in a little bit narrow range, like what am I supposed to do this week? What's God's plan for the activities that I should do, the things I should say? And we see how God is interacting with his own son, as we see in Matthew's gospel. Jesus is always baptized at the beginning of his ministry. And so the first thing that God says to his son is not, "Okay, now today I want you to go out and do this, 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 and this." He doesn't give Jesus a to-do list. Doesn't even give him like his overall mission. The first thing that the Father does with his son is send his Spirit on him and to say, "You are my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased." And so he's helping him understand, first and foremost, his core identity. You see, we really can't know what we're supposed to do in our lives if we don't have a sense of our own identity. And from there, we see that Jesus starts the mission, which is really sharing the Father's love in the world. He has a sense of not just his mission, but who he is as the beloved Son that carries him through on his death on the cross, which the Father then not only raises him from the dead, but then shares that with us. Now, this might sound like, okay, so maybe like, especially in the new year, like, I think I'm just going to go find myself, and just kind of figure out like really who I am. No. It's not how this works. If you do that, you'll either drive yourself crazy or you won't see much. Because what Matthew does that's different than the other Gospels when he's telling the baptism story is, in the other stories, well, we don't really hear a father's voice in John, but in Luke and Mark, the voice from above, the Father's voice says, "You are my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased." And this is a beautiful way to meditate, especially on our own baptism, to hear the voice say that to us directly. But Matthew tells the story a little bit differently. He says, the Father's voice says to the people, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased." And he's talking to us. The Father is talking to us and pointing out to us who Jesus is. You see, just as the child cannot develop his or her own identity without having somebody else there. In other words, that child can't not know who they are individually without being in a relationship. That what Matthew is trying to teach us, particularly in and through our own baptism, is that we have no idea who we are and we never will. We'll never fully know who we are until we are fully engaged in that relationship with Jesus. This is how you find out who you are. In baptism, in that relationship. And if you ever start feeling a little lost, especially then after that, not sure what to do, go back into that relationship with Jesus. Because the Father's love in Jesus, and through Jesus, and only through Jesus, will we fully know the Father's love for us. And when we know the Father's love for us and understand the core identity that we have, then we will have a much better sense flowing out of that what God wants for our life, what he wants us to do, how he wants us to live it out in our relationships with others, especially in sharing his love. That's why at the Eucharist, we see God saying to us, "See how much I love you? I'm sending you my Son, present among you." It's like God is looking in our face and saying, "You're such good little boys and girls." And then what we do is we mirror what we've just experienced. And that we can go forth in mission to share that love, especially from this sacrament, which reinforces our baptism. We can only know who we are in our relationship with Jesus. And the Father then shares his love for us through him. And then we can go forth each and every day to be a light for all the nations.